there are a couple of different counter arguments to the impeachment thing coming from very different sorts of people. The first is coming from Republicans saying, you can't do this. We need to unify everybody. You need to come together. We've been so apart. I don't know why. I don't know who's driven us apart, but we need to come together by not having any consequences for an attempt to overthrow the government. My response to that is shut up. Shut up, you stupid fake liars, shut up. But that's why I'm not an elected representative, because that's literally the best I can do. We have people who can do better, including Representative Ocasio-Cortez, who had this to say.
We have to understand that what happened on Wednesday was insurrection against the United States. That is what Donald J. Trump engaged in, and that is what those who stormed the Capitol engaged in. And so when we talk about healing, the process of healing is separate and in fact requires accountability. And so if we allow insurrection against the United States with impunity, with no accountability, we are inviting it to happen again. That is how serious it is. And I do not believe that perhaps my colleagues weren't in that room. Perhaps my colleagues were not fully present for the events on Wednesday, but we came close to half of the House nearly dying on Wednesday. And if a foreign head of state, if another head of state came in and ordered an attack on the United States Congress, would we say that that should not be prosecuted? Would we say that there should be absolutely no response to that? No. It is an act of insurrection. It's an act of hostility. And we must have accountability, because without it, it will happen again.
Yeah, it's a great point. And here's a dark line of thought. What do you think would have happened if that mob had gotten to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? If they hadn't been led away, there's stories going around about this cop who led them away for a couple minutes so that they could be cleared, which is that's amazing that happened. Think about what they would have done. So she's taking it seriously. She's being mocked and attacked constantly. She always will be for a number of different reasons, some of which are fairly obvious. But yeah, she fears that she could have been attacked. She could have been killed, as well as her colleagues as well. Yeah. And so really fast. So the argument about the unity, what do you think about that? That we need to, we got to turn down the temperature, because if we provide consequences to Trump, that will make his insane base angrier.
Too late for any of that. It is so too late. I mean, and I think even Democrats are realizing, but I think Republicans are realizing that the fash is out of the bag, y'all. The violence has come to your doorstep. It's been, on the streets. It's been on the doorsteps of a lot of people all summer long. We've seen it before. We saw it at the Unite the Right rally. And I know this is a different amalgamation of nut jobs, but it's similar, and we should be drawing parallels. We saw it the minute that Trump announced his presidency. I'll never forget when I believe an immigrant, a Latino immigrant, was brutalized and by two Trump supporters who said, this is from our president, or this is from Donald Trump, right? So the through line is there. Stop being so naive about it. And absolutely, AOC is right. We gotta put a shock collar on these people. There have to be consequences. Get the spray bottle out. Everybody knows if you just let your dog go anywhere they want in the house without any consequences, they're just gonna keep doing it. So no. Yeah. We need to house train these Republicans, and the only way to do that is for there to be consequences for what they helped incite. Because remember, they were A-OK with a less violent version of essentially what this mob tried to do, which is just as anti-democratic, takes a different form, but is absolutely 100%. Anti-democratic. Now, the last point I want to make is this is the history of our country. The history of our country is, look at the Civil War, breakaway racists trying to get away with their actions, denying the presidential election of Abraham Lincoln, which then led to them actually creating the Confederacy, right? Because they saw the writing on the wall. They thought that slavery was going to be over, and in fact, then there was a war to make sure that it was. This is the history of this country. If there are not consequences for white supremacists, for racists, if we do not defend specifically Black and brown communities and lift up their voting rights and their civil rights, then we're gonna be facing this over and over and over again. So what does that accountability look like? And for my scared white people out there, it's just equality. Don't worry. No one's taking anything from you. It's just equality.
I agree. Okay, so we're gonna see what happens. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.